Okay, it says this Hangout on air is live. I'm going to have to press that little yellow button. I didn't get my normal ding in my ear. So welcome everybody to our Thursday Hangouts. Michaela, how are you, my darling?
Hello, Jennifer. Aloha. Glad to be here. I've just realized that I don't have my
Oh, there you
logo,
are.
so I'm going to put that on right now.
Okay. Well, to those of you who are joining us now, I just want to say welcome and let you know that today is a very fascinating day. There's nothing about April 2nd that is any more spectacular than another day. It isn't that. It's more of what's going on in the world around us, what's going in the world around in the world within us, how that's showing up. And I've I follow a, oh gosh, what is she? She may be an astrologer. I'm not entirely certain what she is. But she sends out these daily tips of what's going on in the cosmos and her take on what that looks like to each of us. And yes, I understand we're talking about the swamp map. Trust me, we'll get there. This is all part of it. So, one of the things that's been going on this week is processing the total solar eclipse, processing the new moon, processing the uh, equinox, and we're getting ready for a full moon. We've got everything that we used to believe about ourselves, all of our family stuff coming up. Emotions are running high, and we're being given an opportunity to look at what's really going on within us, what has got us to where we are, and what is no longer serving us. And it is, Michaela, the word you used was volatile, and that is exactly, that is it. Everything's
I
up.
have a little story to tell about that when you've got a minute,
Uh,
and I'd like to share it before we get into the swamp map as a
yeah,
preface for the swamp map. Because a lot of people who are looking at self-development and personal development, um, in fact, all of us, it's human nature to take things personally and to think that we're the only ones going through it. And we're a very self-absorbed society. Humans are very self-absorbed. That's just the way it is. Um, I went to an analytics conference yesterday at Bryant University, put on by SAS, which is a big data company that basically big government creates software that analyzes the internet basically. And I found it I thought it was going to be boring, but boy, I was riveted in my seat. One of the presenters, Ron Jung or Jung, I can't remember what his name is, but he's been analyzing financial data for years. He showed a couple of snippets of events that were very volatile events. One of them was the crash of the economic crash in '08. And another one was the alarm that went off with the Millennium Bridge that was, I don't know if you remember that a few years back. If you go on YouTube and type in Millennium Bridge, the bridge is a suspension bridge. And they had a very special day, gosh, this was back a decade ago now when it first opened, where they had thousands of people walking across it for the opening. And as people were going across, everything started to swing like that. And there was so much swinging, and it got so off kilter that the alarm went off. Everybody went into a panic. They had to turn everybody around and get everybody off the bridge.
oh,
When
whoops.
they showed the overhead view of it, they showed that everybody was walking in sync. Now you have thousands of people all walking in sync. When you look at that from a probability point of view, a probability model that we have lived for traditionally throughout the 20th century, that's impossible. It's impossible to have a 98% rate of everybody walking on the left foot at the same time. The same thing happened with the markets. A lot of this is public information. You can go on Fidelity and you can find all this mapping of global maps of markets, of all these different things. And the interesting thing is that when you look at it from a traditional probability point of view, '08 crash should never have happened. It was a huge global, the first huge global breakdown of the system. And when they asked people what happened with the bridge, what happened with they asked the so-called experts, they said, we have no clue. This was an anomaly. This was something that should not have happened. Verbatim, they were using the same words. And there were a couple of other examples too, and people were just lost, not knowing. These are the experts. Mm-hmm. But what this man pointed out is when we look at the new paradigm model, the problem was not that these were anomalous events. The problem is that we were using the wrong model.
Yes.
We were using the wrong map.
Yes.
And the thing that's great about this, that really not kills me. Did I just say that? The thing that excites me about the swamp map is that everybody goes through it. Mm-hmm. So it can be understood. We are not alone in what we are going through. If we think we're alone, we are using the wrong map.
Mm-hmm. Very brilliant. Thank you.
Just to follow up, the word that he used, which was very, very important, and this was a financial guy talking about financial markets and politics and everything else. He didn't once mention energy or fwa-fwa kind of things. He used the word interconnectedness.
Ooh.
And he pointed out time after time, he used all different kinds of examples. He even had a huge head of broccoli, and he kept pulling it apart. And he said, if you magnify this, it's going to be, is it going to look any different? No, it's not. It's going to all, because of the interconnectedness of it, we're all following the same path. We are all, and because of this interconnectedness, what did not happen in the 20th century, because the 20th century, we didn't have that interconnectedness. It was the internet that brought us all together, that aligned us all and kind of created an alignment of the globe in a way. There, he agrees. And because of that, volatility affects everyone.
Yes. Yes. And if ever there was a time to, quote unquote, know thyself, it is now. And you and I have both seen how important it is to become self-aware and how important it shows up in our everyday life, and it is every day, and how having the ability to look back and understand our patterns, which is another way to think about the swamp map, is it allows you to find your patterns, find your ways of reacting and responding, and finding where those pivot points are from what you habitually do and where you actually want to be going. So at a point on the map, you will notice that, oh, at this point I have a choice, and if I keep going down this way, I know where I'm going to end up. So what happens if instead we take this path here? And it puts us into a place of choice and a place of power, which is something that you have to get to a place of being able to choose so that you get to the point where you can choose to give up the control. Otherwise, it ends up getting taken away from you because you're following the same path to get the same results that are propagating what you're trying to change. And something's got to give. You cannot continue the same ways of being and expect to get a different result. And we've all heard that. Something's got to change. And it really is the most powerful when we change our perspective, when we change us, even in how we look at things, how we look at ourselves, how we view our place in the world, taking full responsibility, not even full responsibility, but that 100% responsibility of truly owning our bad and our good. And it's funny how that second part can sometimes be harder for people to own because we've been conditioned to accept the bad or hide the really, really bad. But owning the good can be just as difficult. And this 2-week period between the eclipse and the full moon, we're having to look at all of this stuff. And it's fascinating to see where it's all showing up. This last weekend, we've had conversation aplenty around my youngest taking responsibility for himself and seeing his part in what's being created. And it's really very fascinating to go through that process with a 10-year-old and have the lights go on. It's like, oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, well, yeah. Okay, I get. So I guess my comment is to those of you who are still struggling with this concept of, taking full responsibility for yourself. It's not easy no matter how old you are.
Not easy no matter how much work you've done.
Yes.
It's not easy at all.
And
we aren't alone. We don't need to buy into that alone, isolated feeling that are beating ourselves up for not getting it.
Correct.
There are many unseen forces that are affecting us. Something that may bother me may be completely magnified, same thing, but magnified to the 12th degree with my neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know it.
Yep. Yes.
If you're looking at something like, for example, supposing somebody in your family got sick and went in the hospital. Well, the person down the street had the same thing happen, and that person's family member died. So maybe we might have a little trouble paying some bills, but maybe our cousin is in foreclosure. So everything is, and I don't mean to say that in terms of magnifying. I'm just saying that with that interconnectedness, there are many different things happening. And by the same token, because we are living in such a volatile age, because the interconnectedness, the model has changed. And you know what? We haven't talked about this, Jennifer, and I don't want to get into it, but I think maybe for the future, when we really get clear on it, this might be a very good paradigm to present, because it's an equation, and it's a flipped equation that none of us have realized, that taking a traditional way of looking at something and realizing from a very mathematical and scientific point of view that it is completely flipped and not what we believed at all.
Mm. I would be very interested in going into that. I think that would be a great conversation.
Yeah.
So I am going to kind of shift things a little bit. In the intro to this one, I brought up a phrase that I've been playing around with a lot these last few days, and that's called going commando. And it came out of a brainstorming, the results that people have of going through the map, of working through their mindfulness, of starting to understand themselves. And this is things that past clients have said to me, feeling relieved and empowered and grounded and actually being able to be joyful. And, we focus a lot on the swamp and the dark and the heavy part of it. That's because you have to go through all of that to get to the feeling empowered, the enlightened place, free of all of the slime that's been holding you down. The phrase going commando to me is about living life totally unencumbered. And there are so many different layers to that. Also shows up in open kimono as far as the relationship style of bringing everything that you are, this is it, this is the package you got, and you can either accept it or not accept it, and that's totally okay, but this is it. The amount of freedom that shows up in that is astounding, and it allows our innate wisdom, brilliance, genius, uniqueness to really come out. And what I love about the swamp map is that it allows you to get clear on who you are without any of the stories, without any of the layers of protection, without the armor all. You get to strip all of that off and be free and get to choose whether you want to swing right or left or, wherever you want to go with it. And it's an incredibly liberating process. And when we first connected, we're both, you and I today, we're both going through stuff. And being able to show up as like, yep, this is where I'm at right now. Things are all over the board. Emotions are raw. Having to work through my own shit. Because this 2-week period is bringing it all up. I've spent more time reminiscing about my growing up years than I ever remember. And
well, I'm seeing that everywhere in my news feeds. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yes. And it's what's up. Are these things who we want to continue being going forward? Where are the wounds that are open to heal? Where are truths that have maybe shifted? And that's an interesting thing with the swamp map, is it allows you to look at what your beliefs are. Because most of us form our truths, our beliefs, when we're very young, and they served us back then. But now looking at that as a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, those truths no longer serve us. They're no longer true for where we're at now. So you can either continue to try and live with that truth, which means minimizing who you are in order to fit in that 4-year-old box, or you can change what your belief system is. You can change your truth. And that brings up a really fascinating point, that truth is malleable. It's not set in stone. Truth changes as you grow, as you learn, as you choose. And being able to be open and honest with yourself and open and honest with whoever's in your life when you're going through this is part of the process that happens with the map. And it's incredibly freeing to know that you can change your truth. And it's not a contradiction. You're not being a hypocrite. It's yeah, that worked for me. And it got me here, here, here. I'm still alive. That's fabulous. And I no longer need that protection because I'm an adult now, and I can choose to cross the road without the signal telling me I can, because I've looked both ways and there's no cars. So I know I'm golden. I can cross the street, and I take full responsibility for that. If I get hit by a car, I pay for it. When we're kids, we have to follow different sets of rules. As adults, we get to choose those a little bit more. The more open we are to allowing these bedrocks to be shifting, the easier it is for us to change our viewpoint, to change our direction, to change what we actually show up like in the world. Because there aren't many people that I know who have been able to shift as their age has shifted to be their true self. Most people have a story that they wear like a jacket to protect themselves with. And there comes a point where that story or that jacket no longer fits. And unless you know where the zipper is to take it off, you're kind of stuck with it unless it gets ripped off of you, which it's happened. Happened to me a couple times, and it's not pleasant. I went and searched for the zipper. Ah,
Something is
yes.
coming up for me, Jeff, as you're talking, and there's some memories. And I remember when I was a child, I had a great big black dog that was my babysitter, and I was pretty much allowed to roam around the neighborhood as long as my dog was with me.
Hmm.
And we used to love to get down to the swamp. There, look at that. It's funny. Every time we talk about some truth, he takes a nice stretch. He, as we go, of course, there are many children that just gleefully jump into the swamp and play in the mud and make mud pies and find all sorts of bugs and crawlies and interesting things to play with, the frogs and the turtles and everything. And as we get older with adults, we don a certain propriety, a way of doing things. We don't want to look at that. We don't want to get dirty. And this is not about pushing away or trying to run away from the swamp. It's about joyful perseverance, where here we are, and you know what? It's not we make it out to be. You're not gonna die in the swamp. It's only waist deep, maybe.
Yeah.
And even if it's neck deep, we still have some vine lines for you.
Yes. And on the other side of that, remember how happy the kids were?
Yeah.
And they didn't care about getting dirty.
No, it was an exploration. They looked at it with joy and with learning something new. And there's a lot to be learned in the swamp.
Yes, there is.
Swamp is where lotus blossoms come from.
Yes. The swamp is where we find some of the greatest gifts in our life. Our truths are down there. The core of who we are. And I used that word incorrectly. It's not our truth. It's a core of who we are is down in that swamp. And so many of us have gotten disconnected from that because of the layers of other stuff that we've put on, that going down there and allowing ourselves to sift through that stuff, to get to that jewel, to get to that core, it's incredibly empowering. And being able to stand in your truth, nobody can rock you off that. And get to a point where I'm going to use your approval of me doesn't matter anymore, because I've gotten to a point where I approve of me, and I'm not exactly like the person next to me. I'm not exactly like the other person down the road. And that's good. And learning to be me benefits every single person in my life that I'm aware of and those that I'm not aware of, because of exactly this piece, that interconnectedness. And one of the other things that I'm noticing along those lines, and I am so grateful to you for throwing that word out there, because that is a huge part. As I'm sharing this with more and more people, I'm noticing a domino effect. When I do my work for A, B, and C, I see how once I get to B and C, that releases a gate for someone else who's doing their work that had hit a wall. And then once this happens, that triggers that. Then they're able to move forward and go steps 5, 6, and 7. And when they hit 6 and 7, that opens up a gate for that person over there, who then is able to make forward advances. So the analogy that's been used oftentimes is a crab, where one person may go here and the other one is back, but they'll get to a point where they actually wait and the other person catches up.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the interconnectedness of this playing field, awareness, natural growth, evolution, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to call it. But I do see how we are all being called to do our work. And the map has become so incredibly powerful in making that happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And it's funny. I know lots of people who are doing all sorts of amazing, amazing things.
Mm.
Personal growth, business stuff, marketing things. You yourself with all of your Facebook stuff, it's astounding. And we're all being called to deeper levels, bringing more of our unique truths to what we do. And it's been really fascinating, the conversations that are coming out of it, because it's kind of scary and exciting, because underneath all of this is this electric charge, kind of like, oh God, what is this? I can't wait to see. Oh, it doesn't feel that good, but you know, this has got to be kind of exciting. There's got to be something great that comes out of it. And it's across the board. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's not just Joe down the street. Yeah, it's planetarial.
Because, you know, with that volatility, with all the stuff that's going on in the swamp, there is an equal amount, or I don't know if I can say equal, but an equal opportunity to be up on top of the mountain and to be looking, and because the pendulum always swings. And when you look at candlestick graphs, when there's a huge volatility, it doesn't go back to center. It goes boom, boom, boom. And when you're down here, it's like it's bouncing up and it's going to go boom. So one of the things that I have brought into my practice in the last 5 or maybe last 10 years is that when things seem darkest and things just seems no hope for whatever it may be, whether it be your relationship with someone or your living situation, your financial situation, whatever it is, I get excited because I know that if I can fail that badly, or if I can be that low emotionally, that it's going to flip and the volatility is going to push me to the other end as well, because the pendulum always swings. Yes. That's why I have these clocks. That grandfather clock that rings when you hear it. It reminds you the pendulum is swinging.
Nice. Nice reminder. So I'm going to go ahead and open up. It's the same presentation as I did before, but I'm just going to kind of refresh some of the URLs for people and a little bit more about what the swamp map is, who it's for, all that kind of happy stuff. This is the biggest piece right here. You know that you're lost. You know that it's time for a map and a guide when you're really frustrated at your quote-unquote lack of progress and no clarity on how to change it. Sometimes it's as simple needing to sit in it, and other times it's oh shit, I need a different perspective. And the only way to really know that is to reach out and ask somebody. Now, this is an interesting one because there are lots of people who are willing to offer advice. I don't know if anybody on the call can really relate to that, but you know, there's always people who are willing to offer you advice. Some people have your best interest at heart. Other people want to make sure that you drown in the swamp. And you can't really tell which one's which.
Sometimes they can't tell who they are because they think they are doing something meaningful, but in fact there's an unconscious willingness within themselves to fail. And it comes across and it can hit you square in the eyes.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And the other fascinating thing that I've learned about that is we can disregard advice or suggestions that are given to us when we have not invested in them. When we've been given free advice, we have no skin in the game. But when you are really ready and really tired of being where you're at emotionally, and that's showing up in everything in your world, reach out and do yourself a favor and invest in a guide who can help you shift your perspective, because there is something incredibly empowering about having skin in the game, about putting money down on yourself and saying, yes, I am worth it. How many months have you spent in that swamp, stuck, not moving, not being able to see a different way out, or what the point of being in the swamp is at all? How much longer are you willing to stay there? And what is it costing you? And I'm not just talking about dollars and cents. I'm talking about lack of sleep. I'm talking about confidence. I'm talking about the condition of relationships. I'm talking about how much new business have you been able to drum up in the last 6 months. And I don't know about those that are listening. I don't know about you, Michaela, but when I am stuck in the swamp, it is damn near impossible for me to do anything forward. It's all looking back over at the past and going, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So at that point, if you find yourself in that situation where you're going, oh, well, shit, I did not expect to be here still. Are you kidding? Reach out. I'm going to give you a link to be able to contact me. Free, totally free conversation. Let's see if you really are as stuck as you think you are. And if you are as stuck as you think you are, you'll be given an opportunity to hire me. And we can shorten this process of being stuck in the swamp immensely. And because it doesn't take long once you get a different perspective. It's just knowing where to focus and knowing where to look to be able to shift it. It's not a beginner's guide. The introduction to self-guidance system, that opportunity to hire me as a guide, it's not for beginners. And if you aren't really serious about shifting your perspective, don't waste your time, don't waste mine, because it'll just piss you off. Because
can I say something about that right now?
Absolutely. Let me get, hold on a second. I'm going to get, no, you're fine. Let me get you off of screen share. Hold on.
Beginner's Guide. That is so precious right there. When I was, oh gosh, we're talking about 2 decades ago now. I've always honored my intuition since I was a little girl. I always questioned things since I was a little girl. So by the time I was in my 20s and 30s, I was having insights that, for me, were simple insights. For many people who asked me and even paid me for my services when I was living in Tokyo, considered me psychic. They started calling me psychic. They started calling what I was doing psychic readings, and I didn't know what to do with that. But I did know that whatever it was that was coming through that I could see, I could, you know what, the idea that for me was when people were coming to me and asking me, I mean, they were asking me questions like, what should I do with my business? Mm-hmm. What should I do with this relationship? What should I do? What should I do? And I'd say, you know, you cannot trust me to make those decisions for you. You must learn to make those decisions for yourself. Don't be going and running to the tarot cards. Don't be going and running, because all of this stuff, you may be using them as tools, as guides, or perhaps as toys. But they're used is to wrench it's like using a wrench,
crowbar?
A can opener to pull the lid off, or a screwdriver to get under the lid and pull that paint can off. That is what all of those things are, all those so-called divinity tools, no matter what it is, even if we're talking about breathing exercises or tapping or yoga or whatever it is. They are all tools to help us get to that essence of our own intuitive space of our oneness, our interconnectedness, as it were. And that's a lot of work. This is not a beginner's guide. This takes work, it takes discipline, it takes commitment. Many people are not ready for that. They are still want the beginner's guide. They just want to be told what to do. And
Yes.
that is what I just really wanted to emphasize, that point, Jennifer, of what you're talking about. It's not being a beginner's guide.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up just stopping. I said, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do in your business. You need to make those decisions yourself. I can give you a roadmap, but this is what you need to do, and these are the practices you need to do. Even if it's sitting on a cushion and breathing some exercises for 5 or 10 minutes, you need to discover how to tap into that source for yourself, because we all have it. People go, no, I'm not psychic, you are. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yes.
I have something sacred that we all have access to.
Yes.
It's whether or not we're willing to go to the intermediate and advanced level.
Yep. And that's takes us right back into it, because this, okay, now let me get to mine. Yes, the journey is sacred. The end goal of all of it is for that peace, calmness, breathing, openness, honesty, being connected, being able to feel that interconnectedness, and really being able to step into that universal flow of life. Believe it or not, that is the end result of going through the swamp map stuff and of hiring a guide to be able to show you how that all plays out in real life. And yes, coachable and curious. When the pain point becomes, the pain of being stuck becomes so great that you will do what is necessary to fix it, is that point where you actually step up and raise your hand and say, okay, I cannot deal with being stuck anymore. Yes, I am ready to move. And at that point, there builds some excitement. You get to know that, okay, I have agreed that I can no longer stay in this place of pain anymore. I know there's something better. I know that I'm capable of doing this. There's just something that I'm missing. And at that point, when you raise your hand and say, yes, I'm ready to move, everything starts to move in your favor, because it's as if the universe needs us to prove to the universe, to prove to ourselves that we are worth it, that we view our own progress as valuable. Because the shift starts as soon as that first yes comes up out of your spirit, through your fifth chakra, out your mouth, and you take command and say, yes, let's do this. That's when things are allowed to start shifting. So if you're feeling like you're in this place, this is where you contact me. And it's on my main site under the Contact Me tab. You can fill out the time that works best for you, and we'll just sit and talk. We'll connect, see where you're at, see if this is really the next step for you. Might not be. And if you feel led to make that next step, great. You will get a lot of information out of it. You'll get some insight as to where you're at. And you'll, like I said, you'll be given an opportunity to actually take it to the next level. And it brings me to a concept that has come out with the going commando thing. I was thinking about this. When we're on fire, when we catch fire or something, we're told to stop, drop, and roll. and it puts out, it takes away the oxygen and allows the flame to go out. Like, you know what? That works for emotional fires too. If you stop and just stop with your action, just stop and be. Drop the story. Drop the pretense. Drop whatever it is that is holding you on fire. Drop it for a moment and learn to roll with the flow of the universe. And it is, I like that a lot because it's something we can all relate to. We've all heard that since we were kids. We teach our kids that. If you're ever on fire, stop, drop, and roll. What's different? Well, it's just kind of the way that we present it, but it sure means the same thing. You like that?
He thinks it's great. In fact, he's been blowing kisses the last 30 seconds at you. I don't know if you've noticed, but he totally gets it.
All right, it's Congo approved. Now, see, guys, even the creatures of the jungle are approving of this thing, so come on. Yeah, and
that's, you know, that stuff. It's a matter of just getting out and connecting with nature. Yes. You know, I can connect with nature right here on my shoulder. He doesn't overthink things. Well, maybe he does sometimes, but for the most part, he doesn't. For the most part, a lot of things are instinctual. And the sun, the ground under our feet, the air, the wind, the water, everything. Go over to a pot of soil and stick your finger in it.
yes.
You know, so many things that when we reconnect with that basic essence, then that's the stop, drop, and roll, really. Yeah.
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm having a conversation with Congo Bird.
He's trying to say something, and I can't figure out what it is.
I don't know, but he sure is cute.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Michaela, I feel we're done.
Yeah, well, as soon as you said that, he blew a kiss.
Okay.
Wow. Give us a kiss. He's a good boy, Congo Bird. Yes. Congo Bird approved.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, you can go check out the swamp map, jennifernearance.com/swamp-map, and there's a free download. Get the map. You can get all the descriptors, basic starting questions, and when you've discovered that that'll only take you part of the way and you're ready to really dive deep, contact me. Let's talk. And
great. Wow.
Yeah, we're coming into Easter weekend.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
You are very, very, very welcome, Michaela. I always enjoy our time together. And coming into a big holiday weekend, Easter celebration, and getting ready for a new or a full moon. And I guess I would just leave people with just breathe, continue to be willing to look at your stuff and really decide who you want to be going forward.
Yes. And go to YouTube and check out the Millennium Bridge and see the swings.
Very cool.
Great. Thank
all
you.
Right.
Aloha.
Aloha all. See you.